Hello YouTube, this is Tortoise here, and in today's video I'm gonna show you guys how to build a tortoise outside enclosure. Now obviously, as you know, I'm in Germany now, and I actually made this video a couple of days ago when I was still in Canada. I just wanted to explain a couple of things before we get started, so if you don't want to listen to this, skip ahead until the actual video starts. But for my subscribers, and for those of you that are watching just to figure out how to build a cage, there's going to be a little jump in the video because I was building the cage in the morning, and I was working on it for like 3 hours, and I got a lot of it done. Then I went to work for 6 hours, and then I was going to finish building the cage that night and finish recording. However, on my way to my parents' house, I fell off my bike, I broke my left collarbone, and that meant I I went to the hospital to get it checked out because I had the flight the next day, so I wanted to make sure that, my bone was okay. Turns out it was broken, but they said it's just going to heal by itself with not a lot of activity. So that's why there's a little bit of a jump in the video, because the next day I went to the next morning to my parents' house and rushed to finish the cage, so I didn't really have time to record, and I just kind of recorded the finished product at the end. So it really sucks for me as well. I know it's a bit disappointing for you, those of you watching the video, to see every single step of the way. It sucks for me because, having a broken bone isn't fun. But let's get started, and you guys will see how to build a tortoise outside enclosure that's very simple and very cheap to do. So as you know, I'm leaving for Germany tomorrow, actually. And if you're following me on Instagram, I have already uploaded pictures of all the supplies, which is this pile right here. And today, I'm going to show you how to build an outside cage for tortoise using tubs. So the reason I'm using tubs is because they're light, they're cheap, and they're weather resistant. So if you build an enclosure out of wood, you're going to have the issue that it rots, and it's very heavy, and that's the family phone. So that's why I'm building it out of tubs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the 3 tubs together, make kind of pathways for patella out of that. I'm going to build her a lid with the welded hardware mesh and these pieces of wood. I don't know what the size is, but to start we need to drill some drainage holes into the tubs because it rains here a lot in the summer, so when it rains I don't want the cage to flood. So when you're doing this, make sure you select a drill bit that's the appropriate size. I'm going to be using cypress mulch, so those pieces are really large. That means I can use a large drill bit, and since we get heavy rains, I want to create as many holes as possible. So, large drill bits and many holes. It's going to get a little noisy now. I'm probably going to fast forward through this, but yeah, just stick with me. Also, as you can see, I selected the lowest part of the tub, so that's a part that's going to be the closest to the ground. That's where all the water is going to pool, so that's where you want to cut your holes. Alright, so that's 1 tub done. I'm going to repeat the same thing with the other 2 tubs. Also, I'm going to drill some more holes on the side here at the substrate level to make sure that the substrate doesn't stagnate. I want to have an airflow through the substrate, so I'm going to make sure to put a layer of holes on the side like this, because the last thing I want is the substrate molding while I'm in Germany and my parents having to deal with that. Alright, so that's that tub done. Holes are drilled. Now on to the other 2. Alright, so that was the last tub. I'm done with that. Now that I have pretty much prepared the tubs, apart from cutting out the holes for where the doors are going to go, I'm going to build the tunnels that are going to lead from one tub to another. So, alright, so this is going to be what the tunnels are going to look like. Obviously right now they're the wrong side because this is going to be the bottom, this is going to be the top. You want to make sure they're wider than they're tall, and obviously that your tortoise can fit through them. So I went to the hardware store and I measured out how big patilla was before as well, obviously, and this is going to be the tunnel. So what you are going to want to do is you want to get yourself some screws, obviously, and screw that together. Before you screw together, what you want to do is pre-drill some holes so that you don't crack the wood, and obviously you want to make that the appropriate size again as well. Alright, so because the pieces of wood I got are relatively thick, I had to get some fairly long screws. Here they are. I don't know if you can see this on the video, but they go a good inch into the wood at the bottom. If I were to just drill them in without pre-drilling a hole, I would definitely crack the wood. Alright, let's get started. And to make sure that I don't royally mess up after I drilled the first hole, I'm going to put in the first screw to hold everything in place. Also, the wood I'm using is untreated, so it's not going to withstand the weather at all. So I'm guessing these tunnels I'd have to replace them every year, but untreated wood is cheap and I know it's not going to leak any dangerous chemicals, so that's why I decided to go with that. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention that's nice about having a tub set up is that you can make it as big or as small as you want it to be. Obviously bigger is always better, but I'm using 3 tubs. You could use 2, you can use 4, and really it doesn't change the procedure at all. You're still putting in the same sort of work. You're just gonna have to do a little more of it, but it's nice to kind of have this modular setup. Alright, so I'm going to finish this. I'm going to turn the camera off for a couple minutes, let it charge, and you guys are going to be back once both tunnels are done. So usually what I like to do when cutting holes into tubs, I like to use a soldering iron and just kind of melt the plastic away. I forgot, however, that I took the soldering iron to my place, and I don't have time to go get it because I have to work in a couple hours, or an hour probably by now. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use the drill to drill a bunch of holes. It's probably going to take forever, and then yeah, kind of break the piece out and go from there. So to do that, obviously I need to first figure out where I want to attach the pieces of wood, and it looks like I found a pretty good spot, which is just that ridge up there. So if I just have them right under the ridge, they're a little bit off the ground, and I can just stick them in the bottom of the tub. So I'm going to try to do that and show you guys at the same time. Might be a little bit difficult, so let's see. I also got myself a marker, so I'm going to mark the areas where I got to cut the holes. So now all I got to do is mark where I got to cut the holes and cut the holes. And here, cutting less is always cutting more. You want to make sure you don't do the hole too big, because once it's too big, you can't make it any smaller. So really cut too small and then try to jam the piece of wood in there. And yeah, I'm going to get started on that. Alright, large drill bit. So again, I'm going to cut inside of the lines that I just drew. You kind of tough to see the lines on that angle. Still, I don't know if you can see the line right there. And then there's one on the other side. So, gonna drill on those lines, and hopefully nothing breaks. So the reason I like to use a soldering iron is because it doesn't leave any sharp edges. Drilling does a little bit, so I'm probably gonna have to grab the soldering iron later today and smoothen out the edges. But for now, I just want to get the hole cut. Alright, so a little bit of progress. As you can see, I cut 2 rows of holes. Now I gotta do the top as well. Alright, so I accidentally detached the power cord. So here you can see again why I don't like using a drill. Leaves very rough edges, so I'm going to smooth those out with a soldering iron. So make sure your drill bit is attached properly so you don't kill yourself. It's always a good idea. Alright, so in the spirit of measuring twice, cutting once, I'm sitting on the box I used actually. They should be the same size. See? Alright, so I think I got the width right. Now I just gotta figure out how deep I gotta go, and it seems like it's gotta go pretty deep. Alright, and there we have it. First hole is cut. Now let's see how well the box fits. And it looks like we got a winner. So there we go. That's gonna be in there like that, man. So now I just gotta do it with all the other tubs. So that's 3 more holes to cut. Screaming annoying. Also an example of learning as you go. I just discovered. First of all, I'm gonna mark which side is what. So A and A. So I know where to put each hole. That there's no point in individually drilling each hole. You can just kind of go along the bottom as a one motion and make a much smoother cut. So that's good. Now I gotta put the second tub next to it and make sure I align it properly so that I get the tubs to line up when I put them when they're done. It's important to properly align the tubs because when I'm building the lid, I need it to fit over all the tubs, and that wouldn't work if the tubs are all crooked and stuff. So, important to align them properly. So again, much smoother cut if you just go in one go. I guess learning by doing is what's happening here, so you guys don't have to make the same mistakes. Hole number 2 is cut. Let's see if it fits right away. My guess is no. Also, you're going to end up with a lot of plastic scraps, so make sure you have a broom or something handy. So again, some fine tuning to do. Yeah, it's gotta be expected. You're not gonna get it right the first time. Last corner. All right, and there it is. So as you can see, those two are now connected. Now I have one more tub to go. It's going to go there, and just going to repeat the same thing over again. So I'm actually going to take turn the camera off for this because it's just the same thing over and over again, and this video is going to be long enough as is. So I guess this needs a little bit of an explanation. If you're following me on Instagram, which I know almost no one is, I got in a bike accident yesterday and broke my collarbone. So instead of finishing the cage yesterday and showing the video to all you guys, I was at the hospital. So today, a couple of hours before my flight, I had to rush and finish this, so I didn't really have time to record it. But you guys saw all the hard stuff. So essentially what I did is I sanded down the edges of the plastic. Alright, so edges of the plastic right there. Sanded down the edges of the boxes. Finished the lid. Lid's really easy construction out of wood and some mesh or wire or whatever. And put in the substrate and patella. So this is the finished setup. Also what we realized is that we can still put on the lids because we didn't attach the boxes at the top here. The lids can still go on, so when it rains we have a perfect rain cover. So that's another advantage to this setup. Alright, so here's the finished setup. I hope you see what you like. I know Patilla's going to enjoy it over the summer. I'm going to fly to Germany now. You guys are going to see this video when I've already been in Germany for a couple of days, probably around a week or so, because it's going to take some time to edit. And here's Shinigami just enjoying some natural sunlight because I forgot the key to her cage at my house, so my stepdad's racing to get it now before I go on my flight. So this is set up. There's Patilla. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you the next time when I'm in Germany.